New census data shows 4 of the 5 fastest growing U.S. cities are in North Texas suburbs, with Celina once again ranked the fastest growing in its size category. Just keeps on leaving everybody else behind. To break down what that means for those of us who are already here in North Texas, we're joined by Dallas Business Journal Editor-in-Chief Will Anderson this afternoon. Thanks for being back with us, Will.
Hey, Jason.
Celina just keeps doing it.
Yep, just like people keep moving to North Texas, Celina keeps shooting up the ranks.
Just keeps on growing like wildfire there. Okay, so we got these new census numbers out.
Yes.
They're reinforcing this whole idea that Collin-County is just really setting the pace here in North Texas. This was expected for a lot of years, and then it just started happening.
Yeah, and Celina saw estimated almost 25% growth from 2024 to 25. I mean, that's an astounding number. That's astounding for a single year. And as you noted, not too far behind, we had Princeton, Anna, Melissa. So yes, immense growth in the North Texas suburbs. Even as a whole, as we see growth as a whole slow down to DFW. But you're still seeing tons of people move
Is
here.
this one of those things too, Will, where it just sort of reaches this critical mass and that momentum starts to feed off of itself, and once you have enough people moving in and developments taking hold and new amenities coming in and employers coming in, it just kind of creates more momentum going forward?
Of course, yeah, there is a real momentum to it. That's a good way to put it, because in the business world, they often say retail follows rooftops. And then, you know what? More rooftops follow the retail, because people want to be, there's new stores, there's new employment centers, there's new schools, things like that. So yeah, it tends to feed on itself. And if you're going to look for the population magnet of North Texas, you've got to say it's Collin County.
It just really shifted up that way. So what does this mean for me right now if I decide, hey, I'd like to start a business or get a home there in Celina or somewhere around there, one of these other cities that's been growing like wildfire?
On one hand, it is kind of expected, or it's been happening for years. Also, remember, this data is from a year ago. They release it every spring for the prior, July to July period. So this data is a little older. In fact, when home sales are slowing across the Metroplex, and that includes in Celina. When I looked at Zillow, the average home price is down like 10% year over year in April. So things are a little bit slower. The residential real estate market is challenged for other reasons. But if you were a business owner or you're thinking about where you want to live long term, yeah, I mean, you look at that kind of growth, and if you want to be in an area that's adding people and adding diversity even and adding businesses, you would think that's a great signal if you're thinking longer term.
And maybe that's an opportunity too. You mentioned that, like everywhere else around here, things have cooled off just a bit in the past year or so. Maybe that's an opportunity for some people who wanted to get up that way.
And if mortgage rates can come down, or if you can get a great deal from a builder to buy down, some points on your mortgage, could be a great time if you're able to do that.
All right, so let's talk about some of the other areas around DFW and how they're looking, because, again, Collin County has been this standout. What's everybody else, looking like these days?
The big picture headline is growth on the fringes and a little bit of shrinkage in Dallas in the center. So you see Forney to the east, Kaufman County growing really fast. A lot of growth on the Fort Worth side, the west side of the Metroplex. Now, Dallas actually, they lost maybe, say, 2,000 people. It's an estimate, but say they lost about 2,000 people. Yeah. That's about zero. That's nothing for a city of that size, but Dallas is basically flat or shrank a tiny bit. That's not, it's just 1 year, it's older data, but it had been growing before, 1% growth in the prior year period. So you're seeing a shrinking or baseline not changing Dallas at the center of the Metroplex while growth happens on the fringes. And in some way, that's to be expected in boom towns in the suburbs, right? But if Dallas is going to continue to shrink, what does that mean for the economic picture here? Meanwhile, Fort Worth grew an estimated 2%. So who knows what the future holds for Fort Worth? Maybe growth slows, maybe Dallas picks back up. But you look at those numbers and you say 15 years out, 20 years out, Fort Worth could be as big as Dallas. It could be bigger than Dallas not too long after that. So it can really change the dynamics.
Well, do you get the sense that this is one of those things that's being looked at pretty carefully at Dallas City Hall right now? Because, on its own, that headline of losing a couple thousand people out of a city this size, not that big of a deal.
Right.
But if you've had, like we've had you on talking about, for instance, AT&T leaving to head to the suburbs as well.
Sure.
When you have that kind of exodus of big employers and, this is a big, Fortune 500 company, you start marrying those headlines and it starts to becoming maybe a little bit more troubling for policymakers.
Yeah, it doesn't help if you're trying to tell a story of getting back to growth, but it does mean there are real opportunities for companies that want to invest in Dallas because they believe in it, or there are things underlying it that, so it's not the population growth you're coming here for, but maybe it's the workforce, maybe it's some of the other attributes the city has. So you would try to sell that if you were trying to make Dallas appealing. But Yeah, it doesn't help if you're trying to make it talk about the growth story.
That's why they love talking about Y'all Street, though, because that is coming still,
Sure.
and it's doing big things.
But is Y'all Street going to be in downtown Dallas if no one else is here?
That's a good point, yeah.
Probably, but.
Good point. Will Anderson with the Dallas Business Journal. If you want to be smarter, read them. They do amazing work there. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, Jason.